Sit there. You have to sit somewhere else. I'm sorry. Larry, need reserved signs.
Okay, folks, I got 2 o'clock on my official phone. Speaking of phones, could you all turn your cell phones off out of respect for each other and for our presenter? Thank you. My name is David Smith. I am a member of the Land Conservation Committee, and I'm here to tell you this is our 23rd program. We do alternate months. We might have missed a couple, but we've been going on for close to 3 years, Larry, or a little bit more. 4 years? Yes, if it's every other month, 23 would make 4 years, wouldn't it? Each of our speakers has talked about something to do with the natural world around our area, large or small area. And what is common to Nora and all the rest of them is they're all friends of Paul Huth. Everybody knows Paul Huth. Isn't that, I just think that's great to be in a community and in an organization that has so much knowledge. And you should come to one of our meetings, and when Larry and Paul and others talk about all the people they know who could be presenters for this, it's just really nice. It's just nice. Anyway, Larry will introduce Nora, and Nora will give you a talk. I just love your name, Nora Scarlett. Sounds like a mystery type character.
With a great name.
You are. You absolutely are. You absolutely are. So you've heard enough from me. If the siren goes off, stay still. If the electricity goes, I don't know what happened. Something happened this morning. Electricity went off. You all did well. Yeah. Well, it didn't happen in the cottages, so I don't know. I was off campus anyway. So here's Larry.
Okay. First of all, let me thank you for being here today. I know many of you are faithful attendees to our bi-monthly talks, so I appreciate that. We will try to keep it going. There are times when it seems more difficult than it needs to be, but we still soldier on. Okay, today we are going to get a kind of, if you will, macro overview of the Gunks, in a manner of speaking. If you recall, if you were here at our last talk 2 months ago, we were looking at macro invertebrates, little bitty insects, which you could barely see with the naked eye. That's not the subject of today's talk. Nora Scarlett, it is a wonderful name, is a professional photographer. She had for many years a very successful studio practice in New York City. And among other things, she had commissions to work for IBM, AT&T, and other similar mom and pop operations. Anyway, but at some point, she felt the need to get away from that world, and she moved to the Gunks about maybe 25, 30 years ago. I have had the pleasure of knowing Nora for virtually all of that time because Nora and I both were for a number of years rock climbers, and we even did a few climbs together. Nora was always a better climber than me, but anyway. She wasn't initially all that interested in landscape photography. Mostly she worked with still life and other types of photography, not landscape. Having moved to the Gunks, however, she fell under the spell, as many of us do, of the landscape. And so I'm going to let her take it up from there and explain how she has come to do her photography of the Gunks.
Thank you, Larry. That's very nice. Oh, great, lights, thank you. Very important. Well, as you know by now, my name is... Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm going to do my best with this mic. Okay, let's see if I can just not hold it. Okay, can you hear me? That's good. Okay, let's see. I've never used this kind of a mic, so please bear with me. And if at some point you're not hearing me, raise your hand and holler. Okay, as you figured out by now, my name is Nora Scarlett. I'm honored to be here to share with you my images. I have compiled a sort of mashup of several of my books and projects. And I guess, you know, Larry pretty much said it. I was a former studio photographer in New York City, had a very, very successful business shooting advertising. Boy, that was crazy. That was nuts. We moved in here in 1998, and I had no interest in landscape photography. Everyone did it. People did it so well. Why would I want to compete with that? You know, what I did in the studio was very special. I had to light everything with artificial light and compose everything. View cameras, large format, 8x10 cameras, you know, like Ansel Adams kind of thing with a cloth over your head. That's what I used day in and day out. But one day in the woods, not far from my house, I came across this. And I was very intrigued. Look at, oh dear, I better, look at this amazing formation. It looks like the tree's kissing the rock. So I thought, at that point, this is pre-digital, at least for me. I lugged my 4x5 field camera, which was much lighter, with a studio tripod and all the film holders, Polaroid backs, and doodads that I need to do to work, out to this spot and made this image and shot it on 4x5 film, and then, of course, scanned it at some point many times. I mean, as my scanning's a whole art into itself. So after that, I'm like, well, there must be more things like this. Let me start paying attention. So I started telling people about it. And eventually I did get to do a book. It took a long time, but I'm very happy with my book. It's been a great project. So we need a map. I bet a lot of you are familiar with the Ridge, but just in case you're not, the area I'm concerned with is a 20-mile long by 6-mile wide area of the Shawangunk Mountains. We have 3 entities. The Mohonk Preserve, which is, oh dear, I think it's 8,000 acres. Minnewaska State Park, I think, is 21,000. And then the lands around the Mountain House, another 800, 1,200, something like that. And we are located right, can you see my cursor? Can you see my cursor? Here, so, okay. So I started to pay attention and look around, and I saw a lot of the big obvious things, like these amazing overhanging hemlocks on Laurel Edge Road. The entrance to Giants Workshop. So this one was pointed out to be my Keith LaBuddy. And yeah, who I climbed with a whole bunch and hiked with. As was this one at Bonnecue, the beginning of the Bonnecue Ascent Trail. It's something I'd walked by many times, but never focused on. Pardon the pun. This one also on Laurel Edge Road, my daughter was walking with my daughter who knew what I was up to. And she's like, look, Mom. And I'm like, oh. So I had to come back and, you know, make the image. And Hamilton Point, another obvious thing. This is a very iconic Shawangunk view with the rock, the Shawangunk conglomerate, and the pitch pines, and this is Mohonk Lake. Cliff view, looking up. At one point, I hiked the whole very edge of the traps on all the little climber paths and found this formation. And so as I started to accumulate hundreds and thousands of images, I realized I needed to organize them. I was going to do a slideshow, and I, of course, I was thinking about a book, but that seemed really far away. But exhibit, I don't know, something. And when looking at them, I realized they sort of fell into categories without me having planned it. So this is the creatures category. And I never set out to make these kind of images. They can be really hokey. I don't do that. But this guy just jumped out at me one day and said, "Take my picture." And you're going to ask, as I've asked, how did that rock get impaled into that root? Another section theme was the couples. Whoops, missed one here. And then we have the dining section. The dining, as in eating dinner. Okay. So I encountered this one day out hiking. This is across a little side branch of the Petersgill. And I was really intrigued. And I was just out hiking with some friends. I didn't have any. I came back with the camera. I shot it from this angle. That thing was below. I was in the stream. I was every which way. I couldn't quite figure out how to do it. I knew it was an amazing scene. Anyway, I did what I could. I went back. I downloaded them. I looked at them and I was like, I don't really like any of them. I'm going to go back. So, sometimes different light, different atmosphere. It just makes such a difference. I went back maybe a week later and it had been repaired. So I had to return home and review again and go, okay, we're going to make this happen. And I eventually ended up with this, which I, of course, love. Yeah. I believe it's a rim, a wheel rim. This is near the Coxine, the old farm there, the what's it called? The mill, I'm sorry, I'm not remembering the name. The Enderley Mill, yes. So I'm thinking it's some leftover from one of their operations there. So in Minnewaska State Park, they mark their carriage roads with these colored metal tags. And I noticed this one. I thought it was amazing. And here's another one at Castle Point, which was truly amazing and just wow. Anyway, I happened to walk. So this was taken in 2010. I happened to walk by in 2016 and look at it now. 2018. Now I decide I need to go every year, like at the end of the growing season, like so usually it's October, and check on it. So that was, what did I say, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2023. Oh no, that's 2023. I missed a year somewhere. And there's 2024. That was last October. Exactly. Oh, I think this, and the tree's grown a ton. I mean, you can really see how much the diameter was much smaller, Anyway, I just think that's the most amazing thing. Okay. So after I did my Trunks of the Dunks book, the publisher of Black Dome Press, Steve Hoare, approached me about another book he was working on and wondered if I had some images to contribute to it. It's a story of the environmental movement to save the Shawangunk, particularly Lake Minnewaska. So I looked through my files and I really don't have any standard expected pictures. I have all these weird Trunks of the Gunks things, and I'm not really drawn to taking postcards and cliches, and it just doesn't grab me. So, but I was intrigued by this project, and so I said, yeah, sure. So I started walking. I thought Lake Minnewaska was the place to start. So I crawled up and down the shores. I wanted to make a great picture of Lake Minnewaska, or have many. I, explored. And eventually there was a nice little portfolio of images within that book, which was very nice. This was the one we used on the cover again. And this is one of the ones I captured also at that moment on the shores of Lake Minnewaska, some steep bank that no one would ever get to ever again, including myself. But I really was grabbed by this image, and a lot of people really resonated with a lot of people. And then it occurred to me at this point that, maybe there was a market for a book about the Shawangunk. And I'm thinking, oh, there's probably so many of them out there. Like, why would anyone want another one? But I started asking around, and my publisher was up for it. And, talking to people who buy for bookstores, they were like, oh, that'd be great. We really need something. So I was like, okay. So I embarked upon this project, which became this book. So I started traveling all over hiking all over the Gunks. Here's the Table Rocks, and going to all the iconic spots and trying to make something that was distinctive, that was sort of me, a Nora Scarlett image. Just the serendipitous moment at the $1 Million View. It's along the Rainbow Falls Trail with just amazing cloud and light from the cloud formation. Yeah. Hamilton Point, a popular place to head to when you're at Minnewaska State Park. And I've been out there so many times on stormy days, and you get the most amazing vista looking south along the ridge. And you freeze to death because it's really windy. You've probably seen this formation. Everyone has a picture of this in their portfolio. This is the Lost City. This just amazing detached block. Another iconic view up off Eagle Cliff. Not very far away on Humpty Dumpty Carriage Road, a view looking south, I guess it's south west, and the whole ridge line you can see extending down. But this was during a snow squall in February. Unexpected snow squall, by the way. So I wanted to make sure I had images from winter. So one winter, spent a lot of time out there trying to do just that. This is the, I think, didn't you call this the Pin Oak Swamp? Pin Oak Pool on Farm Road. Yeah. And this is the Uber Fall, or the beginning of the Uber Fall. And this day I had just flown back because we usually spend winters in Utah just so I could be here to do winter. And there was this big snowstorm. So the next day I'm up, no one is plowed, it's a ton of snow. And I crawl up from my house, I can walk up to all these things. I crawl up the Stairmaster. I mean, it's covered with snow. You can't see any steps. I have my snowshoes and I'm somehow getting up it with my ski poles, almost like ice axes. And I get up. No, so those are my snowshoe tracks. There's not a soul out. And so it was kind of fun. And the beautiful fresh snow and wow. Another wretchedly frigid day at Lake Minnewaska in the icy wind, but so graphically beautiful. Everything etched in a little bit of white. And no, I came across it. I think some people had just built it and were there. So I think they were probably pretty flattered that I took its picture. It was so cute. Little thing, you know, wasn't big. The from the Gertrude's Nose Trail, the Palmagot Ravine. I mean, this is as iconic as it gets for the Shawangunks. You have the pitch pines, the rock, and the blueberries, red with the backlight. And this lovely, wonderful cliff face with the hemlocks, which sadly are disappearing. One of my favorite places is Spruce Glen, which is atop Awasting Reserve, in between that and Lake Awasting. It's a little stretch in there, just this lovely, wonderful, primeval, boggy thing. Whoops. And I was told by a local expert that in Spruce Glen there are hemlocks that are 500 years old and red spruces that are 350 years old. And it was never logged because it was too difficult. So in addition to the grand expanses and vistas and everything, I wanted some more intimate details from the ridge. And there's another moss detail, which and I also wanted to show the critters. And I just love it when I can see a box turtle in the woods. Or one of these guys. This is Duck Pond. A while ago. And you have to have Mr. Red Eft in your show, don't you? He's the terrestrial juvenile form of the eastern spotted newt. And these little embryonic things, especially after a rain on certain sections of Carriage Road, you see these little things just kind of writhing along. Some spring flora here. This is a native red trillium in Mine Hollow. Moss spores. One of my favorite flowers is the pink lady slipper, which probably is out, isn't it? It's May 20th. Yeah, usually late May. I usually go along the Northeast Trail and see them. I haven't been yet this year. And coming up soon, here we're going to have the mountain laurel bloom. I just love their little geometric flowers. And I love the way they make just seas of white and pink in the woods. They just totally transform it. It's almost as striking as the fall leaves, I think. You know, they have when the mountain laurel is just a sea of it in certain parts of the woods. It's usually like, I always think Father's Day, but usually like early June. Though who knows these days, things are happening differently. And then on the coattails of that, the native rhododendron will bloom. And here's one that's it's a bud with just one of its little, I don't know what those things are called. It's just starting to bloom. And the blueberries, the high bush blueberries in the old golf course of Lake Minnewaska. So a few years back, I wondered what the blueberry flowers looked like because I was curious. So I went and found them, and there were these lovely little bells. Very good. These things pop up midsummer, and I always thought they were a fungus, but they're not. They're a flowering plant. They just have no chlorophyll. And they're a member of the blueberry family. At least that's what I read. And if you look at the little bell-shaped flower thing, it sure looks like a blueberry flower thing. Okay, skipping to winter, late December, I just loved the way this milkweed was, shedding its seeds. Now we'll go back to a few trunks of the gunks images. Just some shapes that I really liked. So here's a ridiculous formation. I have no idea how this happened on just off Hamilton Point Carriageway. And I was there, obviously it's late fall, and the sun was far in the sky and low and causing flare. And in photography, flare is a no-no. Of course, nothing is a no-no if you do it intentionally. But I tried to get rid of it because it bothered me, and you can't really get rid of it. So I just kind of said, okay, that's just what it is. And I think it's kind of mystical too. But then I went back the following year, earlier in the fall, and tried to recreate the shot. And this is what I got. And I couldn't decide which one I liked best. So I always like to show it to people because it's interesting that the same scene can look so different. And then when I ask people, some people love this one, some people love the first one. So it's kind of. And here's a picture of me in action shooting that formation. This is a very steep slope. It's a little hard to tell from this image, but you can see I'm crunched on the ground. I'm with my body and my feet, I'm holding some of the branches out of the way so I can even get in there to see it. It's cold. I have a hat on. I'm in some, god-awful position just so I can get the right perfect angle with, trying to line up the trees behind it. I mean, composition is so important. And, what's behind the thing you're trying to shoot? Is there a tree that's sort of sticking out of it in a strange way? But if I shift over a hair, that tree is hidden or it's not doing it. So it's just a kind of a shifting and juggling to try to find an angle where you get more of a clear, distinct, story. My daughter, I recruited her. Mother. Amazing burrow formation, just astounding. So now we have a few images of roots. Whoops, sorry. Quite the tangle. So one thing I really liked about this image, in addition to its sort of flying buttress-like roots, the little peephole in there, which I worked really hard to capture because you shift a hair over any which way and you can't see it. It's a very small thing. So anyway, I really liked it. And so here's a couple more that where there's a hole that's featured. So one thing that's always been true with me is I like to work with series, with a concept, with a framework, with a reason. So like Trunks of the Gunks gave me a reason. I'm working on that. I'm not just randomly taking pictures. And even back when I was starting out my commercial photography career, I had to do a lot of direct mail. And I did a calendar where I mailed out one image pertaining to that month every month to my prospective clients. And then I did an alphabet. That was ambitious. I had 26 images and I did the 10 numbers. So each is a separate mailer that gets mailed out theoretically every month, but it took longer than that. So I just like to have, so I have all these little embryonic, concepts in my head or collections. And one is clouds. I'm intrigued by clouds and how they often make the image. This same image with a plain blue sky would just be like, meh. So the backgrounds are so important. You can't ignore the background. That's Kleinkiel Pool before they sort of fixed it up. Owasting Falls. And I was standing there. This was after a big storm because the falls is really, really cooking, as you can see. But that cloud formation would change every second. So I had to decide which one I liked the best. So that was quite a interesting, it's hard to decide. You look and you go, oh, maybe this, and then you come back and Dicky Bar. This is fun little cloud formation in the background. Castle Point with a little sliver of Lake Owasting that you can see behind. I mean, that's another place where I've seen so many storms happening and freezing to death. I shot this yesterday at the overlook on 4455. We were driving over the mountain to visit our son, and there was this thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. And so I usually wouldn't stop to. I happened to have my real camera in the car. But first, I made my husband pull over, and I just used my phone. And then it's like, I have my real camera in the car. This is really cool. So anyway, just threw it in because it's fun. So currently, which has now been for the last maybe 5 years, I've been working on a project about fungus. I'd like to make it a book, but it hasn't happened yet. But nonetheless, when there's fungus to be found, which is not always, been collecting them. Some are tiny and some are big. And along with the turf comes slugs and snails, but especially slugs. Everyone see the slugs? Yeah, it's so cool. That duo there was just, I was fortunate. I don't like usually doing starburst. I think it's pretty hokey, but every so often I can't resist. And this was sort of the perfect place, the lion's mane. And I'm fooling around with covers. I'm always fooling around with potential covers for things and ideas. And this is just one that my latest. I don't know what it will ever be. It might probably will change, but I like this because there's a little fungus growing on the bottom of the, oh, what did I do? Huh. I must have spazzed out and hit something. That's what I do. Come on. Sorry. Sorry. But it's been a frustrating few years because either there's no mushrooms or we go away sometimes in the summer, or I'll leave just as they're getting really good. I'm like, no. Okay, now we're back in business. Oh, this little guy. So I like the fact there was a little fungus growing on well, he's not even a big one, just the main one there. And these are slime molds, which are not a fungus. They're not anything. I have read about what they are, and I'm sorry, I lack the knowledge to explain it properly, but they're sort of go along with the territory, and they're just so beautiful and so amazing. And they're tiny little things. As are lichens, they're related. Lichen is a fungi and an alga in a symbiotic relationship. This is the fruiting bodies of the pink earth lichen that just completely blew me away. This one I just shot in April. It's a piece of rock tripe, which you usually find growing on rocks. And it was during a very windy, extremely windy storm. And I found it in a puddle on Laurel Edge Road. I just really loved it. Okay, now moving on. Oh, these little guys, swamp beacons is what I've been told. Growing in rhododendron swamp. Oh my gosh, these little tiny things, they're so amazing. And of course, I'm in the bog. So early on, I wanted to do a companion series to Trunks of the Gunks called Chunks of the Gunks. And I was collecting images, and I'd show them to people, and people would go, huh? Whereas I'd show the trunks and people would go, great, no, it just didn't. So I just put it aside, gave up on it. But lately I've been sort of thinking of resurrecting it because I have so many more images. And here's once again, this is a little sketch of what it might look like. I mean, I think given that the rock is so distinctive here that it could be a thing. I don't know. Oh my God, what a scene. This is a cliff section from the Gertrude's Nose Trail looking into the pomegranate green, but just look at that talus down there. Look at the size of that thing that fell. That's humongous. A glacial erratic. On the map, it's called Patterson's Pellet, because apparently there was someone named Patterson, a weightlifter, bodybuilder type who tried to push it off. I mean, the thing's not exactly small and didn't succeed. Rock Rift. On a ridiculous standing flake at the base of Skytop. Like, how did it get there? Another amazing flake on in Eagle Cliff, somewhere between the Carriage Road and the top. I was crawling through the talus one day. And this is one of my favorite little scenes along the High Peterskill Trail. I just love the way the trail builder routed the trail right through there. Could have gone around. And you can just see how the rock just split off. So as I conclude my presentation, I have a couple images that are just super dramatic, I think. This is after a huge storm. It's not winter, but it's fall, I guess. And this is Laurel Ledge, and this is Litchfield Ledge along the Upper Wasting Carriageway. And the light and the rain and the dripping was, I was very lucky to get this. And finally, this is Sam's Point. I'm not sure what it looks like today. I don't know if they've done, I haven't been there in a while, but the light and everything and the boulder and anyway, so there you go. Yeah, isn't that, I'm sure that's not natural, but I didn't make it, but when I found it somewhere in the woods, I was like, oh, that's so cool. So anyway, so there you have it. Thank you. I mean,
Thank you. As usual, I'll walk around the audience for those who have their hands raised and have questions. I'll have the first question. You went back and forth in a couple of explanations about what kind of cameras do you use? You have the old school high tech as well as handhelds.
oh yeah. So yeah,
Because there's several photographers in the audience, Larry among them.
Sure. No, I started off in whatever year that was with my 4x5 field camera, but that quickly went by the wayside because you just can't get to, I couldn't get to where I needed to get. And one of the reasons is you need an extremely wide angle lens. So I got a DSLR and I've had several. I'm currently have a Nikon 850, which I've had for a while. And I love that. The files are just so beautiful. So beautiful. So it doesn't really matter. It's just a tool.
Would you take a question from Dr. Huth?
Of course. I'd be honored. I hope I can, he's going to correct me.
Well, it's not really a question, but in the foreword for Nora's first edition of Trunks of the Gunks, I had the distinct opportunity and honor of writing her foreword. And I said then, and I'll just read just one short sentence, every now and then someone comes along who looks at things in a different way, with a different eye, so to speak. Nora Scarlett is one of those people. She has captured a determination to live that is not only inspiring, but thought-provoking and evokes in me a renewed respect for the complexity of life. And I thank Nora very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Paul. That's so beautifully spoken and written.
Did you have a question?
Nope.
Artie?
I have a question about the trees, the age of these trees. Are they first generation, second, after the glacial period? you know, what would you say? Are they, how old are these trees that you were filming along the ridge?
Well, they're all different ages.
Yes.
And the last glacier retreated, I believe, 10,000 years ago. So I don't think any of them are 10,000 years old. But they're all different ages. I don't know. You'd have to ask me
Right.
which one. And I probably don't know the exact answer. That's not my expertise.
Right.
Um,
And the ones that show the of course, the growing out of a tree and then splitting and then continuing its growth. It's really amazing.
right, that's my trunks here. So I'm just going to we can look at little thumbnails. If there's one in particular you remember and you can point it out to me, I could.
Well, I remember a rock formation on High Peterskill where it's split.
Oh, that's
one of my favorite ones to hike through.
Oh, so you know it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's great. Yeah.
Thank you, Nora.
Sure.
First of all, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. It was beautiful. Secondly, you mentioned the hemlocks were disappearing. Is that due to disease or old age?
Woolly adelgid
That's
mainly,
what I
and then
was wondering.
the scale insects.
Yeah.
Correct, Paul? Yeah. But woolly adelgids, it's just heartbreaking. I mean, I moved here in 1998, and not far from my house was some beautiful hemlock stands along this little creek, this creek without a name, you know. They're all gone. They've fallen. And then when they fall, it just looks like a war zone.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
it's just like Laurel Edge Road. Oh my gosh. It's just sad.
I
But
planted.
of course, it's part of nature. It's part of everything. You know, you have to sort of realize, oh, this happened before the chestnuts all died. I didn't witness that. The elms all died. I didn't witness that. So I know the ashes have all died. I mean, you know, there's any trees left except the weeds. Maybe the garlic mustard or the barberry will be what's left. I don't know. The black birch seem to be doing fine. They're popping up every which way. So, and I know in our yard, we try to treat the hemlocks that we have, and it's sort of kind of successful, but it feels like a losing battle.
Other hands? No other hands?
Oh, come on. Don must have a question. Oh, there's one.
I missed it. Where? Oh, coming around, Bill.
Thank you for your presentation. I was intrigued with the creatures.
Okay.
And of course, I never see creatures in the woods. So are those enhanced at all, or are they strictly from your camera?
Like the turtle, you mean?
Well,
Or are you talking about the creatures in the
I meant the tree creatures.
the trunks,
The trunks, right.
Like this guy, yeah.
I mean, I think you didn't do anything to particularly enhance
No.
the eye, but it would be tempting to,
Well,
as you said, to make
I
them.
mean, I do edit all my images, and you know, I wouldn't be if I'm in Photoshop and you take the history brush and you do the not the screen, you know, I might sometimes do a little bit I want to tell the story and I want to make it clear, but I don't do anything much.
Okay.
No, I'm not inventing them at all. I just want them to read. I want them to be clear.
They speak for themselves.
So I always do editing like this. The light here was pretty bad. It was just flat, bland, blah. So I have, you know, for my day, I had a lot of, you know, experience in the studio where you have to have everything has separation. So when you have an object you're photographing, you want the side with the highlight to be behind the pack, have something behind it that's dark, and then the side that's in shadow, you want that to be in front of something light. So you have this sort of thing going on, and it gets separation, which makes depth and interest. That's my whole thing. So all those years of being in the studio with little reflector cards and working with things, oh my gosh, I do the same thing in Lightroom. Like I know I've lightened like here, so you could see his muzzle better. I know I'll go in and do that, you know, just a little bit and nothing dramatic, but in the end it looks different. I mean, if you looked at the picture, especially with some of them, like this one, I imagine when I downloaded it looked awful, looked just ugh, like you wouldn't want to. But the image was there, the bones, as I say, the bones of the creature. I knew it was great. So I had to make it so it looked appealing and you could see it. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Be right there, Paul.
You're getting your exercise today.
We got a system coming that's going to be better than this.
I see a lot of young hemlock in Minnewaska and what I think is called oak chestnut or chestnut oak.
Mhm.
Does that hemlock have any better chances than the older hemlock?
I don't know. Paul, do you have any? Okay. I think the hemlocks in Minnewaska, there's a lot more healthy ones than there are in Mohawk Preserve. In fact, there's areas where it's like I'm like, wow, isn't it nice to see hemlocks? And I sort of think in the back of my brain, well, I should go like try to document, not even photograph, just document these remaining hemlocks, because there's some stands that are still there, and they have that dark in the in summer it's nice and shady and cool, and it's dark and it's kind of mysterious, and yeah.
Especially off the trail into the woods.
Yeah. There's one.
Folks?
Have a lot of trees been lost in the Hudson Valley to fire?
Well, I know we've had two fires since I've been here. One in, I believe, 2008, kind of the Jenny Lane area of Minnewaska State Park. I forget, 1,200 acres, 2,000 acres. I don't know. I actually have pictures of, a year or two later. I have so many images I did not show you. Okay, you could be here for like 6 hours and looking at things. I tried to prune it way down, and then at Sam's Point, which is part of Minnewaska State Park, there was a fire, I believe, in 2016. Yeah, right. Okay. And I was back a year and a half later and photographed the new, the pitch pine barrens is what you have there, and all the new growth. And it was in the fall with the blueberry heath things being backlit. So you get that glorious red and the new green, and then the black stumps of the pitch pine. So I have some pretty cool pictures of that. Yeah. But yeah, that's the only ones that I know about. Are there, am I missing something?
1847. It was about 5,000 acres then. And the interesting thing about fire is that most of these fires are surface fires. They burn very quickly. And most of the trees there are fire resistant or fire dependent. They require fire to exist, like pitch pine. And so fire in many instances takes down other species that are competitors and allow for the dominant species to be enhanced. So fire does kill trees, there's no question. But it's good for in that system, the Shungum ecosystem is very good for the ecosystem. First, thanks. This has been great. I'm able to recognize a lot of the places, or if you mention a name, I can bring my own mental image to mind. But I'm wondering if you have found, at least for your publications, which, by the way, folks, there are copies up here.
Oh yeah, my book. You can, if you were interested.
Yes, she has them available here today. And if you didn't come with cash in hand or whatever, they are also on sale and have been right along in Dedrick's. So, but anyway, back to my question. Are there particular areas anywhere along the ridge that you have found to be especially fertile for your effort to find images?
You just really never know. It could be something so silly that becomes something so great. But in general, I like anytime there's the rock against the forest, that white rock just, in fact, in one of my talks that I do up at the Mountain House, one of the first things I stress is the uniqueness of the area, and how, to me, what's unique is the nature of this white rock. The Shawangunk conglomerate formed 420 million years ago. That's a long time ago. I can't even fathom that. Oh my God, it's been glaciated, uplifted, down, I mean, twisted, faulted, Lord knows what. And then the system of carriage roads, which allows people to get out and see this stuff easily. You walk, you can stroll, you can ride your bike. It's not like some epic hike. And you can just get around. And it's great. It's amazing. We're very lucky to have this, I think. Nope, not like the John Muir Trail. Oh, that was awful because a lot of the surface was, it's made for pack animals. When they come and fill in mud, they put these giant gravel, like railroad gravel. It's horrible to walk on. Anyway. Yeah.
Anybody else? I guess not. So
Okay.
this is usually Larry's speech, but thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And,
Say if anyone's in the back, yeah.
Testing. I will say that we have another bi-monthly talk scheduled for, this is May, it'll be July. And it will, I don't know the exact date at this moment, but it will be a presentation by a woman who's very much connected with the Millwork Preserve, which is that town village natural area immediately adjacent to us here at Woodland Pond. So those of you who are aware of it, you'll find it interesting. Those of you who don't know that it exists, I think you'll be fascinated to find out that it's right there by us.
Okay. So I guess I should start taking myself apart.
Just about that one.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was amazed. I'm glad that big clock back there is fantastic. Because I
told you we got an hour. That's all about it.
yeah, well, he said the talk should be 40 minutes. So I tried to do that. So
I
yeah.
said 40 minutes of talking, 20 expressions.
Well,
Lose the
thank
audience
you.
after an hour.
I know I do.
They drift in and out.
Yeah.
Larry, you want me to take these back? I will. That too.
Sorry? Yeah.
No, I gotta go pick up my.
It was the front cover of a book with Carlton